Hi, welcome back to our channel. We are Chase and Melia, and today we get to react to DK from XCALIBER. We are super excited for this. We actually have a lot of on-stage live performance experience. We did a lot of musicals as well as operas, and so this is honestly right up our alley, and I'm so excited to hear because I think that DK is just gonna kill it. He kills everything, but just how he can use his voice in lots of different genres and how he has that full resonance and clarity that we talk about all the time, I think is gonna be great.
Absolutely. And this video today is sponsored by Rebecca. So thank you so much for sponsoring this video. We love having sponsors choose these specific vocal videos because then we know exactly what it is you guys love. And it helps us understand you a bit more. And then we just also love talking about singing. So DK, singing, let's go.
It also really helps out the channel. And so thank you so much, Rebecca, for supporting the channel.
If you would like to support or sponsor one of our videos, please see the description box below and they'll have more details there. So this is a compilation of 5 different spots in the musical XCALIBER, specifically with DK performing. So we're gonna start with When Will We Learn, and let's go.
Let's get started.
이놈의 말들 다 어디 간 거야? 우주야! 코코야! 너네 살아는 있니? 언젠가는 알게 될까? 흘리지 않아도 될 눈물의 이유. 행복은 멀어져가고 견딜 수 없는 아픔에 희망을 잃어라. 모든 빛이 사라지고 끝없는 어둠의 시간. 언제일까 들판의 모든 꽃들이 소중했던 모든 삶이 찬란히 빛나는 날, 그날까지 조금 더 힘을 내야 해. 사랑한 모든 걸 지켜내 희망이 날개 펼 때까지.
So the first thing that I want to talk about with that clip is how he so seamlessly transitions from monologue, dialogue, spoken word into singing. And it's a great example of how he has this technique that we're kind of trying to empower you to have and like encourage you to do, which is that speaking is singing and singing is speaking, and that there is the same type of energy and resonance and like mechanics happening when we sing as there is when we speak. And if we go back more towards speaking, we have a better time with singing. And I think he's a great example of that.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm pretty sure I included this clip in my 5 tips that DK is doing, 5 techniques that DK is using, because of the same thing, where he sounds the same going from speaking to singing. He has the same resonance, he has the same fullness, and it's the same level of energy, effort, right? We don't have to all of a sudden sound so different and put on our singing hat, where he just goes right into it, adds air, and all of a sudden he's singing, and it's like you don't even notice for a moment that he started singing.
Absolutely, that's exactly it.
And I think that that is also a really good performance from the performance side of things. It's just really amazing. But at the same time, it's kind of difficult to make that happen for a lot of us.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm definitely still working on that a lot. But that's like in a singular clip, that's exactly what we go for, which is having our speaking voice and our singing voice be the same.
Being the same. The difference is just adding pitch, right? There is literally just pitch.
And
we have
air,
pitch. Yeah, exactly. We have pitch to our some pitch to our speech as well, but I think that's the biggest difference. The other thing I want to kind of acknowledge is that I'm really loving this idea that he is in a successful K-pop group while also being a live like musical theater performer. Like what a cool thing. What a cool thing, because that's another part of our passion, is that when you have good, solid vocal technique, you can do anything vocally.
What do you want to do?
Exactly. What do you want to do? And if you want to do it all, you can do it all.
And what kind of opportunities are brought to you. And you can kind of have your pick, your choice of whatever you want to do, you know? He is very successful. He's not like starving for jobs or anything, but somebody comes up to him with an interesting project and says, hey, do you want to be a part of this? And he says, absolutely, because he can do it.
Yeah.
And I think that this is just an example of his really good, we would say, musicianship.
Absolutely.
Where not only can he dance and sing the kind of rocky thing or the more poppy thing, but he can have beautiful, clear, expressive, theater type chops as well, which is, it's hard to do both.
Yeah, and I think part of our philosophy is that it's a little harder to start from a contemporary genre and with a contemporary, I'm going to say untrained style. Because it's not about your sound. It's more about how did you get there? Or were you self-taught? Were you just born with it? Absolutely, that exists. And there are some people who are born with more ability than others. But I think that the problem that you could come into with starting with that and relying on that alone is that it would be harder to transition to a more structured technical type of singing. If you start with the more structured technical type of singing, you would be able to go, I think, the other way.
It makes you more versatile.
Much more
in
versatile.
our opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And experience a little bit.
Yeah.
Because absolutely. Let's watch the next clip.
Awesome.
아니, 그건 자기야, 넌 지금 거짓말을 하고 있잖아. 전부 사실이야. 욕망 때문에 태어난 자식이란 말이네. 흑마법과 속일수의 결과. 넌 운명의 결과야. 조작하는 일이지. 정해진 운명이지. 선택한 적도 원한 적 없어. 날 내버려도 간섭은 다 필요 없어. 당신의 그 마음도 내 미래에 당신은 없어. 내 삶은 여기 있어. 당신 꿈을 위해 날 시험하지 마. 눈 속이 장난 검은 주문도 모두 다 걷어가. 당신 원하는 그런 사랑은 다른 데서 찾아. 저주받은 마법 다 치워. 난 내 인생 살 테니 내 몸과 피는 온전히 내 것. 난 나의 것. 난 나의 것. 난 나의 것.
Okay.
Wow.
One of the things about musical theater that we're not super crazy about is the straight tone to vibrato, which is an absolute choice in a style.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like he does it.
No.
And it's one of the things I think that stands out about his voice. It could also be what it calls for in this specific show. That's definitely a stylistic kind of genre thing. But I do feel like I hear a difference because it feels like he isn't holding anything.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, and that could be an American musical theater thing.
Maybe.
But that's the only world we've been really exposed to in terms of musical theater, I'd say. But I agree. It's really free and it sounds huge.
He sounds huge.
And I can't help but say over and over again that he sounds like this is what he does. He sounds like this is the thing that he is known for. That this is, he's a musical theater person. He sounds like he is a native to this type of performance on stage. And he might have a lot of experience with that, but he's not. This isn't what he does.
Yeah.
Right? He does K-pop.
Yeah.
And he does
At least I think.
I think that's where I think that's how he got this job. He didn't get this job from 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, from people knowing him through 17, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that he started musical theater. I assumed.
Well,
He came to 17 from that.
Well, we don't know, and this is why. But my assumption is that they called him in, and people do this in America too, where they bring in kind of a pop star because they know more people will go to the show because they like that pop star. But, I can't, it's hard to think of an example.
Sarah Bareilles.
Yeah, but Sarah Bareilles is unreal good. I'm talking about a bad example would be if you took Justin Bieber, who's a great, he's an amazing artist, all that kind of stuff. But when you put him on that stage and in that setting, it would feel out of place. It would feel like his voice, especially when the other people started singing, his voice probably wouldn't would sound wildly out of place
I
because it doesn't have the cut, it doesn't have the fullness, it doesn't have the range. You know, it doesn't have that type of sound and resonance that most of the other people who have a lot of training have.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, we've said this already before, but he has all the things that all those other singers have, which is really amazing.
Absolutely. I think also, regardless of how he got there, like there and in 17, he fits perfectly.
Yeah.
So like vice versa, like whether one was first or the other was first, he blends in and is capable of doing both genres with excellence, right? That's the biggest point.
He uses his instrument
Exactly.
according to the genre.
Appropriately,
right?
yes.
Appropriately.
Absolutely.
And this is where we get, you know, kind of into it with people when people say, oh, training makes you, you know, stuck in a box, or training makes you, you know, takes away your creativity or your unique sound. I don't think so. I think that it only gives you more colors to paint with. It makes you more versatile. It makes you more in control of your voice and how you sound. How do you want to sound right there?
Well, they're decisions.
They're decisions.
Exactly.
You know, DK can get gritty and rocky and awesome, but then he can sound really clear and full, like he's, you know, giving a speech in song form. You know, and I think that is that's a rare thing these days with a lot of I would say successful pop singers.
Yeah.
That, you know, he's just doing easily.
Absolutely. I want to go see this.
Yeah. Ooh, one thing technique-wise that I wanted to point out. Even when a lot of times he's smiling. He's so good at smiling and singing and looking like he's having fun, all that kind of stuff. But this, he's acting, right? He's upset. He's mad. I think he might be talking to Merlin, I'm assuming.
Right.
But like, he's pissed. And he is here. And he's you can still see his front teeth. Yeah. But he's using it for passion and expression. But it also keeps his vowels forward. So you know, watch parts of that clip again, and you can see his front teeth the entire time.
Yeah.
And this is a trick that I use with my students where I say focus on those front teeth. You know, really make it so everything is right here, right forward, right there, because otherwise it gets swallowed. So this is one of the reasons why he's so full, bright, and clear, is because everything is really forward.
Yeah. I love it.
Even when he's expressive and mad and showing this emotion and not smiling, you know, it's not a trick. It's good vowels.
Good vowels, yeah.
Let's hit this next clip.
맞아. 딸의 책임이야. 그녀는 결백해. 날 배신했고 신을 모독했어. 저 여자한테 결백 같은 건 없어. 내 앞에 당장 무릎을 꿇어라. 이게 바로 끝. 내 심장은 속았어. 배신당했어. 내 믿음이 짓밟혔어. 기분 없을 듯. 세상이 무너져내려 다 달라졌어. 저주받았어. 이게 바로 끝. 상담한 느낌. 덮이는 다음에 하나는 날 버려. 상처만 남아. 쓸데없는 것도 다시 깎고. 이게 바로 끝. 이게 바로
Wow. First thing that comes to my mind was how that just sits up really high.
It started up there.
Na, 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 na. Am I low? I think
I think you're low, yeah.
결백해 나의 배신. 내
Na,
앞에
na, na, na.
이게 바로 끝.
Na, 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 na.
Even
Oh
higher.
my gosh. La 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 la.
He's a
It's
start there.
so, and that's where you start. And I don't know if anybody else has sung songs like that, but I've sung, you know, arias and different things that just start there and hang out there. And it is so tough to just start there with freedom, with fullness, without holding things. And what a lot of people do is they go, la 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 la, you know, they really push it out. And you don't need to do that.
You can't do it though, and then you can't
And then you can't do it the whole song, right?
Yeah.
You have Now you have to sing the whole song
Yeah.
like that, and it's just it becomes very difficult. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it becomes very difficult.
And strain and taxing and
And
straining.
taxing and strain. And you know what is impossible? Doing that for like a 3-hour show.
No way.
That, you know,
Yeah.
as the lead. You know, I don't think that's possible.
No.
But I don't know. I think that he does such a good job. La 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 la. Probably approaches it the same way he does everything else. You know,
Yeah.
one thing that I do for myself when I have to sing higher notes like that is I pretend they're not high.
Right.
You know, I pretend I approach them the same way as I approach things that are in the middle of my voice or on the lower end of my voice,
Yeah.
where I just breathe, focus on my vowels and what I'm saying, you know, speak it out. And I'm not trying to pinch things when they're high or push things when they're low. I just let my voice do what it's supposed to do. And guess what? It does.
Well, and I think so, like, the order to achieve what he's doing, like how do you do this? You practice in your warm-ups and in your practice sessions, like, where does that sit in your voice and what kind of approach do you want to take to it, right? What sound are you looking for? That's where you really get technical and gritty.
Oh,
but when
yeah.
it comes to the performance of it, you trust that you can do it and you trust that it's there because it is so mental at that point. And I've had this recent experience, right? Where there are things that I'm like, that is impossible. I can't sing that. Well, you know what? Then I can't.
Then
I
you for sure
absolutely
can't.
cannot.
You for sure
And then
cannot.
I don't. But if you believe it, because yes, it takes work on the front end. You have to practice and you have to have the technical side of it because you need to give your body a chance to know what it's doing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think practice gives you that confidence, that mental
Absolutely.
confidence to say, you know, I've done this. I've
I've
put
done
in the
it.
work for this.
I
You know,
can't-
that
I
was
know
one thing
it.
that always helped me was I was never nervous if I felt like I was prepared, if I felt like I knew the song like the back of my hand, if I felt like, you know, we did Die Zauberflöte, Mozart's, you know, the magic flute. And we, and I took a whole summer and I just sat with the book and read through it, and I had everything maybe not memorized, but I knew every note of that by the time we hit the first rehearsal. And through the whole process, I was able to dive deeper into, you know, really expressing myself with my voice, really diving into the acting piece because I didn't have to think about all that other stuff. And that level of confidence made me sing better, made me look better on stage, help me in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And so I think that, like, even just the ritual of practicing as it is just to experience and to you feeling comfortable knowing the music, you know, not to mention all of the technique breakthroughs that you can get through. One thing I would do for this is I pretend, you know, your whole face is numb and I check in with my tongue here. Whole face, na 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 ma ma ma, sing ma, sing
Yeah.
na, you know, really, you know, just let it resonate. It's not supposed to sound good.
Right.
It's supposed to give you that feeling of, I don't have to pinch to make that noise.
I can make that note,
I
yeah.
can hit that note without pinching. So what does pinching even do?
Right.
What is this tension that I feel even doing? It's doing nothing except
Yeah.
for making my voice tired.
Right. Well, and I think understanding the differences with that is something that will push you forward in your practice, because if you can say, oh, this actually has a different feeling, and you don't approach your singing with like the goal of experiencing that feeling, but you're acknowledging it, right? Like
Yeah.
you acknowledge that, oh, I don't have tension in my throat or
Yeah.
my neck. I wonder why that is. Like,
Yeah.
how do I do that? How do I continue to sing that way?
Yeah.
And it's just, I think that'll really change your practice
Yeah.
and experience singing.
100%.
Awesome.
Let's go to the next clip.
Yes.
거짓 앞에 신념에 찬 깃발을 들고 이 세상과 맞서 위대한 왕래가 될 수 있나. 내 한계를 넘어 더 가볼 수 있을까. 날 향한 의심을 지울 수 있을까. 진실 앞에 서서 물러서지 않으며 운명에 맞서는 그런 게 왕이 되는 기차. 겨울바람에 맞서 우와 노에 찬 바다여 가 흔들리고 전부 달라져도 앞으로 내 한계를 넘어 더 가볼 수 있을까 날 향한 의심을 지울 수 있을까 현실 앞에 서서
I have to point something out. So this is an assumption. This is an assumption. Part of me thinks that this is probably either the big ending at the first half of the musical, or it's at the very end. Just because I feel like he's working hard.
I feel like it's so too.
For the
more
first
than
time,
I've heard.
More
Yeah.
than I've heard, right? And I'm gonna point out just
Where?
one
Yep.
specific part. The ooh, and it goes a little bit back, and he has to push it. And this
Yeah.
doesn't. It's not about good or bad. It's
Right.
already good. It sounds beautiful. That was
Absolutely.
the first thing I was gonna say was, gosh, his voice is just beautiful.
so good.
Especially the beginning. If it looks just effortlessly beautiful.
Yeah.
Like he just has one of those beautiful voices.
Yeah.
But now that it's getting louder and bigger and he's, kind of proclaiming more, it feels like he's pushing and it's not giving him the same fullness and
Yeah.
resonance that it was when he was just breathing out, when he was just letting it happen, when he was just speaking. So this is one section right here.
날 향한 의심을 지울 수 있을까
See, ooh, ooh. And like that's how I used to sing because it felt powerful. Like I felt that in my
Yeah.
chest. I'd feel that, the harder I was working, the more powerful I felt. But in my opinion, it doesn't translate to power outside of his body. I think he had more power if he kept it that same forward right
Yeah.
where all that sound is going
Out. Yeah.
and what that sounded like was
Yeah.
which was a little bit further back, a little more pushed, a little more,
Yeah.
and that could be a stylistic choice, that could be all this kind of stuff. But part of me also thinks that like this is just a huge number at the end of the
Yeah.
the half or the whole musical, and he has been singing for 2 hours straight,
Right.
and he's tired, but he's also really in the role. And that happens too.
Yeah.
We've been in those moments
Absolutely.
where it's
You
not
just
that
gotta
we're just
do-
trying to get through it, but a little
you
bit.
do just gotta
yeah.
do it. No.
You just got to do it. You got to show up. You're singing the song. And yes, if you were in your practice room and you were just singing that one song, you might, have that fullness and clarity throughout, even
Yeah.
when you're showing that emotion. But that's, that's just an observation. But
Yeah.
that's an example of it being a little further pulled back. And this
Yeah.
is something I think that he's probably worked on because 95% of the time he's got that fullness and
Yeah.
resonance and like efficiency,
And it feels
ease of-
intentional.
and
Yeah.
and ease of use.
Yeah.
It's effortless.
Yeah. And I think also another cool thing about this clip was like there's a lot of this song that is not in a very like strenuous part of his voice
Yeah.
that he still has such beauty in, right? And we talked about that before reacting to him. He brings beauty to really simple singing and simple melodies and
Right in the middle of his voice.
and in the middle of his voice or maybe lower. Yeah.
Yeah, not exciting high notes or low notes.
Which I would say is harder sometimes because we focus so much of our energy on the big power end notes, high notes, all of it is high is like the best. But actually what makes you a good, well-rounded singer and musician is focusing on all of it. And I feel like he does a great job of that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Awesome.
현실 앞에 서서 물러서지 않으며 운명에 맞서는 왕의 길을
I think he definitely was.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way, not to say that that didn't sound beautiful.
No.
But that was not very different. That was different than what you've heard in most of these examples.
Yeah.
It had a little bit more...
Inconsistency.
Yeah, inconsistency. It was a little bit what we would like to say held. And I think even so you could see some physical manifestations of that. Like there was a little bit of this,
Sure.
which I see. And these are all just like observations because we want you to see how like this is how the voice works.
Yeah,
this is how our instrument works.
This is live performance, and
Yes.
you know, when you watch us sing, you know, I can already see some of the comments of people saying, "Well, I see your neck is tighter." I don't hear that clarity that you always talk about. We're not perfect because there's going to be some where we feel like we nail and some we miss the mark on, and that's because it's live performance. We're doing it, in the moment, and sometimes you're on and sometimes you're not so on. I think DK is on more than he's not on.
Absolutely.
And this is what we talk about all the time is our goals are consistency. Our goals are efficiency.
Absolutely.
That's why they're goals and not just like, this is how we sing.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, and so we're learning this too, and we just know exactly what we're looking for, and we know how to get there.
Yeah.
We just it's all about practice. It's all about putting in the work. It's all about doing it every single week.
Yep. And I think we also always say that we watch these so we can learn too.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly the point, is that we are constantly striving to be better vocalists and singers. And we feel like we know what that takes. And we feel like watching people who are excelling and kind of above the average in their art and in their instrument, watching them and taking away what we think they're doing so well helps us grow, and then helps you grow, and being able to identify and describe that is important to being able to do it. It's actually the first step to being able to do it.
Part of learning.
Exactly.
Part of learning. And I don't know. I love DK, and I think it's a good thing to know that the best singers in the world struggle sometimes. And they're not just born with it.
Yes.
Some people, have natural abilities and stuff, but you still have to work hard. You still have to show up every day. You still have to drink lots of water and keep your voice healthy.
Yeah.
You still have to do all of these things that everybody has to do.
Absolutely.
And so, I don't know. It makes it approachable.
Yeah, absolutely. It breaks down the mystery of it all.
Okay, we have one last clip.
Woohoo.
Let's watch it. I'm loving this.
이 검이 여러분들이 제게 맡긴 희망의 상징, 또 주님께서 제게 주신 믿음의 징표가 되게 하소서. 우린 이제 단 한 번도 싸워본 적 없는 적들과 곧 맞서게 될 겁니다. 비록 수적으로는 불리하지만 반드시 승리할 겁니다. 왜냐하면 우리의 힘은 군대의 크기가 아니라 바로 여러분들의 용기에서 나오기 때문이죠. 평등한 원탁 앞에 모여 함께 맹세하리. 하나가 되어 정의로운 세상 만든다고.
This is a great example of any part in his range, him having that resonance and that ping. We would say ping, or some people call it the singer's formant, all that kind of stuff. La 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 la.
Ooh,
versus lots of people,
good.
including me. Yeah, I know.
That was really good.
I'm learning from GK. I'm learning
Dang.
from the best. What do you expect? All I had to do was watch him do it, and then I knew how to do it.
What a good teacher.
What a good teacher. Anyway, how I would typically do it is this. La 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 la. Right? It's not any lower, but all of a sudden it loses a lot of the power. It loses a lot of its, it's cut through everything else that's going on. Why is he so easy to hear over all the instruments that are playing?
Yeah.
La 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 la. Right? It's all here. It's that same resonance. He's singing it the same way he would sing super high notes in the middle of his voice. It's all there all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful.
So good.
우린 형제 또 친구 이젠 한 뜻으로 모여 기억되리라 원탁의 기사.
항상 명예 지키고 진실을 찾겠는가.
네, 그러겠습니다.
법의 심판 앞에 자비와 정의를 지킬 텐가.
네, 그러겠습니다.
그 앞에 맹세하라 엑스칼리버. 사랑이 먼저라고 자유를 위해 싸우리라.
So that's an example, I think. Do you have anything?
No.
Okay. That's an example, I think, of why I keep saying that he seems so comfortable and native to the stage, is because he sings, and then presumably that other guy is part of the company. He's he lives, breathes musical theater and this kind of performance, classical style performance. And DK does not sound like a pop singer who's sharing a stage with classical singers.
Absolutely.
He sounds like he's using his voice appropriately for the thing. You know, he sounds totally at home in this setting.
He does not sound out of place.
He does not sound out of place. No. That, you know, and this is what, you know, my Justin Bieber analogy. This isn't, I'm not trying to hate on Justin Bieber, but if Justin sang and then a dude like that sang right after him, people would go, whoa. Out of place. You know, it would sound not even just out of place. It would just be like, oh, that's the difference. The difference is that dude is like raw power.
Yeah.
And they're really boosting Justin's mic to just get him heard over everything else that's going on. And that's just training. That's placement. That's stylistic, you know, decisions. And I don't know. I am so impressed with DK's versatility and his ability to use his instrument.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yeah.
하나의 지식 영원한 맹세 지키리라
Watch that.
Yay!
Yes. Yay, for sure. I want to watch that last note again.
함께 난 운명을 위해 하나의 지식 영원한 맹세 지키리라
What happens there?
What do you mean?
Is it a little out of tune, or is it the note that it's supposed to be?
It could be a little flat.
Part of me wonders, so what I hear is I hear him having that straight tone that we were talking about earlier, and then not having it on the next note, and it being drastically different as far as the intonation.
Yeah, I would describe that as a bloom. Like a flower. And I think that's part of the intention. The intention is to hold back the fullness and let it go whoosh over everybody. And I think that note is supposed to be dissonant.
It is supposed to be dissonant.
Right.
And resolve.
But it could have been a little bit underpitched. But I think it wasn't like, you know, it didn't sound bad.
And for me, and like when I say flat, or when I'm kind of talking about out of tune, I don't necessarily mean like he's singing the wrong note. I more mean there's not as much resonance as it could be. It is not as, there's not as much like fullness to that as there could be. And I think you can hear directly the difference.
Sure. Well, you want to play it again?
Just one more time.
Yeah, sure.
So the first note, I think, is a little flat in resonance. The second note, I think, is full in resonance.
Yeah.
That's what I want to describe.
함께 난 운명을 위해 하나의 지식 영원한 맹세 지키리라
So
that last
I
note
think
is a money note.
Yeah, it's a big washer sound, and I think that's the intention. The intention is to hold back that fullness and let it go.
Yeah.
But I think this is where our bias comes out, and we say, I want all the fullness all the time.
I do too.
I don't know why.
It makes me melt because sometimes
it just makes me lose myself in his voice. You know, I've been talking to some of my students about the difference between a good performance and a mind-blowing, amazing performance is not that much, but kind of what you feel sometimes as an audience member is that you're lost in it. You don't even realize that you're sitting in a theater watching a performance. You're just lost in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that DK has one of those voices that is so effortless. Like it's what we said earlier, where you didn't even notice he started singing after he was speaking.
Yeah.
And it just was such a seamless transition that you're on this, you're going with the story.
Yeah.
And it's just fully enveloping you, and that's what the kind of performance that makes people go, oh my gosh,
absolutely,
that was unreal,
incredible.
Versus going, oh, that was nice,
absolutely.
How nice,
yeah,
you know, you're ready to clap as soon as it starts, versus like your jaw's on the floor, and you're like, what just happened?
What is even?
I blacked out,
right? I blacked out, and it was amazing.
I was living it, yeah, and I think that kind of stuff is just right there, but I think DK has powerful. It in spades. Yeah. But you know, I don't know. We always go back and forth on whether or not we like that straight tone to Bloom thing.
Yeah. I understand the intention of it.
I understand the intention, and I'm not hating on anybody who uses it.
Personal preference.
Personal preference, exactly. So.
Well, this was really like educational to me, and I hope for you guys as well. I hope that this helped unpack a little bit of why we think DK is so freaking good and versatile and all of the things that we've talked about.
Just a killer singer.
Just a really good singer.
So good. And guess what? You can be one too.
Absolutely.
Be versatile. Yes. Work on your technique. Be able to do all the things. You can sing jazz. You can sing classically. You can sing rock. You can sing pop. Like, have fun using your instrument and get after being the best singer you can be.
Absolutely. And if you guys haven't seen Chase's video, 5 Things That Make DK like the best, you should check it out, because he really breaks down specifically some of the techniques that we believe he is doing to make him as good of a singer as he is, that you guys can apply to your singing so you can be the best singer you can be also.
The best singer ever. So if you like this video, please give it a like. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. We make new videos every week. We'll see you soon.